Shabbat Shalom. I'll say again for the official record how great it is to see everybody who has come out for this service this evening. I'm almost hoping that we get a little bit of crazy storm in the background. Yeah, I'm not alone. In the background during the service, just because I think it'll be kind of fun to see lightning flicker behind the ladder going up to heaven. But we'll see.
We could call it a plague.
Yes, that's true. It is very closely related to hail and darkness and all manner of other things. So totally seasonally appropriate in many different ways. Anyway, I hope you are also, as I am, enjoying the fact that there is a little bit of warmth in the air. It's starting to feel like it actually wants to be spring. I got to sit in a chair outside for a few minutes today and go, oh, I can sit here without a coat. This is lovely. So I hope much more of that for all of us in the weeks to come. We are going to start our Shabbat service this evening with Hine Ma Tov, celebrating, as we so often do, the joy of being in this space with one another for Shabbat and the happiness and the rest that we hope will ensue shortly. So please join us. Hine Ma Tov is on page 10. It's on page 10. Thank you.
Hine Ma Tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Ma Tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. I'll go first. Please repeat after me. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine Ma Tov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. I'm going to surprise you with something. Are you ready?
Excited? Yes, please.
Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is
to be together on this day.
That was lovely. And now we have welcomed not only each other, but also the angels. We got a little Shalom Aleichem in there. Everybody is welcome in our space now. So let's make our space even cozier. Let's get it warmed up with candles for Shabbat. We're going to turn to pages 2 and 3. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, if I get the match lit, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. And as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch
Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav
V'tzivanu lahadlik ner V'tzivanu lahadlik ner V'tzivanu lahadlik ner Shel Shabbat. Now it feels like Shabbat. Speaking of feeling like Shabbat, we're going to sing our next prayer now, in which we welcome Shabbat in the form of our beloved to come and join us for the next 25 hours in Lecha Dodi on pages 20 and 21. We invite Shabbat to be in our midst. We call out to Shabbat to be with us. And we'll sing together a few verses. When we come to the final verse, I will motion for us all to rise and face the door so that we may greet Shabbat. Page 20 and 21.
Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la la. Lecha dodi. Likrat kala. Penei Shabbat Mikabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Penei Shabbat Mikabela Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Yishmi'anu el hamiuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shem u'tiferet v'litila Lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat nikabela Lecha dodi likrat kala Penei Shabbat Kabbalah, Torah read.
Verse 5.
Torah read.
Kiva orech,
Kumi ori. Uri. Shir daveri. Kevod Adonai. Alayich nigla. Lecha dodi. Likrat kala. Penei Shabbat Mikabela Lecha dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Mikabela.
Please rise.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala Gam v'simcha u'tzola Toch emunei al segula Boi chala Lecha dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela Lecha dodi Likrat kala Penei Shabbat Nikabela.
Turn now in our Sidurim, in our prayer books, to page 26, where we find the Chatzi Kaddish for Shabbat.
Yitgadav v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah B'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala uv'yizman kariv V'imeru amen Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach Le'olam ul'almei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei d'kudsha brichu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Da'amiran be'alma V'imeru amen.
I invite you to please rise as able and join us in the call to prayer, the Baruch Hu, on page 28.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai.
Baruch Hu et Adonai continue at the top of page 31, reading together in the English. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. And we turn to page 32 for a prayer in which we celebrate God loving us by giving us the Torah, by giving us laws and commandments to structure our lives so that they can be holy. Please join us on page 32.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadata, al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uvkumenu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nizmach v'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem nege yomam v'layla, nege yomam v'layla, v'ahavatecha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated as we continue with Ve'ahavta on page 36. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom ad levavecha V'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uv'lechtecha v'aderech, uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha, u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'chtavtam, Al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim
Lihiot lachem l'Elohim, Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet. We read together responsively at the bottom of page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נטע בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי 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 לי, יאי לי לי לי, יאי לי 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 לי.
We read on page 41, sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. We join together in the English at the bottom of page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. And we'll join together now on page 44 in singing V'shamru, our celebration of celebrating Shabbat, which we remind ourselves that one of the very things that has preserved the Jewish people since the beginning of our creation has been the observance of Shabbat, taking that time to rest and to reconnect with ourselves and one another and with the divine. Page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם.
כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment, a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. I now invite you to rise once more as able as we come to the tefillah, the standing prayer, in which we will begin by asking God to help us find the words to pray.
Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagit Tehillatech. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chasei Avot ve'Imaot, Umevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav le'Hoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim b'chesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar. Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit u'mechayeh, U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah l'hachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated. And let us read together at the top of page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. And let's read together at the bottom of page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. I'll invite you now to take just a few moments to think of a few specific things for which you are grateful on this Shabbat. Does Does anyone have something that sprang to mind that they'd like to share for which they're grateful this Shabbat? Go ahead.
I just went through a medical test and it's got a great outcome, which I'm very grateful.
Oh, wonderful. Baruch Hashem. So glad to hear it. Anyone else have something for which they are grateful? Linda's grateful for a good outcome of a test, of a medical test. I am grateful for my dog groomer who did a spectacular job on Gizmo, and he is looking very fresh and very sharp at the moment. Yes. Yeah, exactly. He's short-haired. He can manage the temperatures. Please.
I just nailed down the date for my 18th.
Wonderful. We have a date for your 18. A early Mazal Tov. I'm excited to be a part of it. Yes, please.
We got to see our grandchildren, all of them, right before Shabbat. Right before Pesach.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going back in 3 weeks for one who's graduating from high school. So
That's so exciting. Mazal Tov to them.
Mazel tov.
Grandchildren graduating from high school and getting to visit with them before the holiday. Beautiful. Do we have one more, perhaps, that someone wishes to? Please, go ahead.
I'm grateful that my daughter from Seattle is visiting us this weekend.
Seattle proper or sort of? All right, my parents live in Bellevue, in the part that's almost Redmond. So yeah, I went to high school out there. Anyway, we'll talk later. Well, for all of these things, we are grateful, and we'll join together in expressing our gratitude for these and for many other things at the top of page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha, u'lecha na'eh lahodot. And now we join together on page 60 in a prayer of peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tatzim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tatzim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tatzim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tatzim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tatzim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tatzim Leolam. Tatzim Leolam. Tatzim Leolam.
Before we go on, I just want to call everybody's attention to the middle and the bottom of page 61, because it's such a lovely pairing of texts. We have Lo yisagoy al goy cherev, v'lo yilmedu od milchama. Nation shall not take up sword against nation, and they shall not know war anymore. This is a beautiful vision of the future that comes to us from Isaiah. But in addition to it, we have a beautiful little piece of poetry at the bottom of the page from, Patuach Sagor Patuach, the Israeli poet who is like the most famous Israeli poet. If somebody wants to look it up. It's in the back, I think. But I'm going to find out now because I feel, nope, gentlemen.
Gentlemen, okay.
This is going to make me crazy if I don't.
Wrong.
Yehuda Amichai.
Wrong.
Yehuda Amichai is the extremely obvious name that I couldn't think of just then. And this is an excerpt from a poem that he wrote, or I think maybe the poem in its entirety, and it reads as follows: "Don't stop after beating the swords into plowshares. Don't stop. Go on beating them and make musical instruments out of them. Whoever wants to make war again will have to turn them into plowshares first." Yehuda Amichai, a man of great, great wisdom and poetry. We're going to turn now in our prayer books to page 253 as we turn our thoughts to all those in our community who are not experiencing as much shleimut, as much wholeness and peace as we would wish them to on this Shabbat. We think now of all those among us who are in need of healing, whether that be healing of body, of mind, or of spirit. And on this Shabbat, we are thinking in particular of Steve Toplinsky, Olivia Jane, Linnea Katz-Pettit, Friedland Veal, Luca Eisenberg, Carol Miller, Shulamit Shira Bat Gittel Yehudit, Jahari Andre King, Fern Drescher, Bruce Sherman, Ezra Kramer, Jane Zeft, William Gleason, Jeff Zemmel, Wendy Pollock, John Holz, Gershon ben Avraham, Danielle ben Bruria, Keith Mandel, Carolyn Newman, Kelly Adeniak, George Grimm, Patrick Heppy, Gary Elderbrook, Dr. Joyce Sanchez, Alan Palais, Eleanor Varga, Lisa Putterman, Zacharia Yitzchak ben Sima Pesha, the Wallert Drankowitz family, Stuart Willis, Scott McLean, Wendy Schuster, Leah Rina bat Davida Ilana, Pesha Bluma bat Esther, Mark Ackerman, Barry Werner, Elliot Lubar, and Burton Plotkin. In addition to all those whose names I have read, we think of all those whom we know who are in need of healing, and we hold their names in our hearts as we join together on page 253 for Misha Beirach.
Misha Beirach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misha Beirach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Ve'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We'll take a few moments now for silent prayer, and we will come back together with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Oseh Shalom ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down.
There is a method of taking the temperature of a room that I learned from one of my teachers, and I want to try it out now. So this is like 100%, and this is not at all. Where are you on the scale of being tired of matzah? Okay, all right, so not everybody is up here with me. Now, in fairness, show of hands, who was tired of matzah before Pesach started? All right, so it's not just me. Excellent. So, yeah, not a huge fan. Seems to me that it is the world's most boring cracker. And I also often find myself saying to people, well, you know, it's called the bread of affliction for a reason. But much as we're all excited to be done, before we finish Pesach, which of course is coming to its conclusion this weekend, I actually want to take a moment to meditate on that idea that matzah is the bread of affliction. It's something that we talked about in our Passover Seders in the past week, and it's something that I think is really right at the heart of what Passover is all about. And that idea that matzah is the bread of affliction comes from the prayer Halach Ma'anya, which is right at the beginning of the Magid, of the storytelling in the Haggadah. What you're meant to do at that point is lift up your matzah and declare, Halach Ma'anya di achalu ahavatana ba'ar'a di Mitzrayim, kol divchin yete v'yechol, kol ditzrich yete v'yifsach. This is the bread of affliction. This is my hand, but this is the bread of affliction that our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are in need come and celebrate Passover. We read this line in the original or in English or both every time we do a Seder, but I think we don't always engage with it fully, kind of intellectually and emotionally. We're so used to it that it may not sound this way to us, but I think it's actually a very radical thing that we say right at the beginning of the storytelling. It is literally calling on us, this passage, to fling our doors open and to invite in anybody whom we can find who might be in need of a Seder. And I actually do know of some people who have done this, or who do this even every year. My guess is most of us don't. It certainly has not been my practice to consistently do this. And not only that, but I think most of us probably live in places where if we flung our doors open and said, all who are hungry, come and eat, nobody would hear us because it would be quiet and everyone would be in their own homes and there wouldn't be someone to come in. I'm going to come back to that a little bit later. But it is intended to be a gesture toward radical inclusivity. And it's a very thoroughgoing prayer in that sense. It's emphasized even in the language of the prayer. Because you may have noticed there's kind of an interesting cadence to that prayer. Much like the Mourner's Kaddish and some other prayers, it's written in Aramaic, not in Hebrew. And that's a democratizing choice. Aramaic would have been, at the time this was composed, sometime in the first few centuries CE, Aramaic would have been the popular language. It would have been the language of the people. Whereas Hebrew would have been the sort of elevated sacred language of prayer that not everyone would have been fully comfortable with. So putting this prayer in Aramaic is itself an attempt to make it maximally accessible. And the Mishnah, in which the ritual of the Seder is first described, which is also from sort of around 0 to 200 CE, makes it very clear that this celebration is supposed to be accessible to absolutely everyone. This is one teaching from the Mishnah for Pesach. It also happens to be the first Mishnah I ever studied in a serious learning, Jewish learning environment, so I'm very attached to it. And it goes like this. Erev Psachim samuch lemincha, lo yochal adam ad shetechshach. Va'afilu ani shebe Yisrael, lo yochal ad sheyasev, v'lo yivchatu lo me'arba kosot shel yayin, va'afilu min hatamchui. Which means, on the eve of Passover, starting from around Mincha, the time of afternoon prayers, one should not eat until it gets dark. A practice I don't know if all of us follow, but in theory, you're supposed to go into the Seder pretty hungry. Even the poorest person in Israel, the phrase there is ani shebe Yisrael, even the poorest person in Israel should not eat until they are reclining. And they must give that person no fewer than 4 cups of wine, even if it comes from the charity plate. In other words, the Mishnah is insisting here that everyone be included in the Seder and that everyone be treated equally. And that means, among other things, that everyone has to have the means to rejoice fully in freedom. This is so important that if somebody can't afford 4 cups of wine for themselves, the community needs to subsidize it. That's what the Mishnah is teaching us here, and it's teaching us also that that person and all people who are gathered need to be reclining together in the then traditional pose, the sort of aspirational pose of free people. So it's very important to the Mishnah, and it's very important to the origins of Passover that all be included. And then this phrase that I pointed out, Ani shebe Yisrael, the poorest person in Israel, is very interesting because you may notice that Ani and Anya sound pretty familiar, and they are basically the same word. So when we're saying halach ma'anya, this is the bread of affliction, we could just as reasonably translate it as this is the bread of poverty. And that's why some people may have Haggadot where it says, this is the bread of affliction, the poor bread which our fathers ate. They're trying to pull out both of the meanings of the word Anya. So this meaning of Anya reveals that matzah is not just the bread of our ancestors' affliction at some horrible moment in our history, but is in fact the bread of anyone experiencing poverty, whether that's in antiquity or that's today. It's a symbol of the universal experience of hardship and lack, which some experience, of course, more acutely than others, but from which we are all supposed to be granted a reprieve on Passover. But this way of understanding matzah and halach ma'anya also raises some questions. And these were particularly well articulated by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, in one of his essays that he wrote on this subject. He points out, that there is something a little strange and uncomfortable about inviting others to join us in eating the bread of affliction. He says, what kind of hospitality is that to ask others to share our suffering? But then he also points out that while at the beginning of the Seder we call matzah halach ma'anya, we say halach ma'anya, we call it the bread of affliction, later in the Seder we call it the bread of freedom. And then he asks, well, how can it possibly be both? And he answers both of those questions in the following way. Sharing food is the first act through which slaves become free human beings. One who fears tomorrow does not offer bread to others. But one who is willing to divide food with a stranger has already shown themselves capable of fellowship and faith, the 2 things from which hope is born. That is why we begin the Seder by inviting others to join us. That is how we turn affliction into freedom. As noted, the matzah represents 2 things. It's the food of slaves and also the bread eaten by the Israelites as they left Egypt in liberty. What transforms the bread of oppression into the bread of freedom is the willingness to share it with others. I think that's a really beautiful insight. And I think that idea of transforming affliction and poverty into freedom and abundance is really at the heart of the Passover Seder and what it wants to teach us. We begin our Seder by acknowledging matzah as a symbol of poverty and oppression, and that forces us to reckon with the fact that there are so many around us who are suffering and in need. And as we then transition into celebrating our liberation, we have to keep in mind that our freedom is diminished by the struggles of others, and that none of us is entirely free unless all of us are free. The Haggadah's emphasis on the collective experience of poverty and freedom is also underscored by the striking absence of Moses from most of the narrative in the Haggadah. Of course, we know that Moses played a crucial role in leading the Israelites out of Egypt, but the Haggadah chooses to focus instead on God, but also on the actions and experiences of the people as a whole. And this arguably highlights the importance of communal responsibility and the power of collective action in the pursuit of justice and freedom. We have a concept that we're taught in the Talmud, Kol Yisrael Aravim Zeh Bazeh, all of Israel are responsible for one another. And this principle, of course, emphasizes the interconnectedness of the Jewish people and the obligation we have to support and care for one another. But then in the context of the Passover Seder, we're invited to extend this idea further, to extend it out universally to all human beings. Halach Ma'anya teaches us that all of us are connected through the common experiences of suffering, of need, and yearning to be free. And then the Seder calls us to extend our sense of responsibility beyond Jews, beyond ourselves, beyond our families, beyond all of our immediate communities, and to recognize our interconnectedness with all people. Now, one of the things that I'm sure you know about Milwaukee, where we live, is that we don't really have to step that far outside our own immediate communities to encounter honestly quite staggering levels of poverty and need. All we need to do is travel down the road a few miles. Yesterday, along with Larry and Gailey Gallipol and Elaine Sweet, I had the good fortune to make a little journey to one of the most vulnerable zip codes in Milwaukee and to receive a tour of the McCannon Brown Homeless Sanctuary from Sister McCannon Brown herself. If you've never met her, she's quite extraordinary. Her passion and devotion are unmatched, as is her conviction that if she is working toward a righteous end, then the means will present themselves, and so far she has been correct. She has a building that she has transformed into this homeless sanctuary. It has had all kinds of construction challenges, and at every stage someone has come in and offered the money and the resources to meet those needs. And it's really an extraordinary space. It's not a shelter, it's not an overnight space, it's a daytime space, because one of the most critical things for unhoused folks is that as soon as they are up and out in the morning, they typically don't have anywhere safe and reliable and hygienic to go and to just go about their lives and their days and go about the process of trying to extract themselves from the experience of being unhoused. And so in this facility, she brings in all sorts of people. She shared, honestly, some harrowing encounters that she'd had with people. She says that the people who come in, there are multiple days a week during which they specifically invite people in crisis to come in, and they get people in all manner of crisis, and people for whom, the way she put it was, tragedy and death are just normal. And also one of the things that she has found in doing this work is that people who are unhoused, at least here in Milwaukee, tend to also to be suffering a great deal from food insecurity. And they give away tremendous amounts of food and also other resources, clothing, hygiene items, all manner of things. She took us yesterday into the basement, and she said, I want to show you our Amazon. And then she said, well, it's a little holier than Amazon, which I thought was pretty great. But it's very impressive. So this is a little bit of a PSA or an ad for the McCannon Brown Homeless Sanctuary. If you have never been there, I would strongly encourage you to visit. Or also, one thing you can do is you can get on her listserv. There's an email list, and every week she sends out information about what's going on at the sanctuary. She sends out information about how you can contribute, both by volunteering in the facility and by bringing resources. So I strongly encourage you to engage with that place if you haven't had a chance to. And this comes back for me to this idea that if we were to step outside our doors on Passover at our Seders and say, all who are hungry, come and eat, probably nobody would come in. But we have to remember that that's not because of a lack of need, that there are in fact people quite nearby, just outside of the reach of our voices, who are in tremendous need and whom we can do a tremendous amount to help. So I would encourage you to act on these lessons of Passover by getting to know the homeless sanctuary, but also getting to know the Jewish community pantry if you've never had a chance to visit with them or to volunteer there. There are so many other organizations in town that do incredible work around hunger and homelessness, and I'm afraid I am not expert in what all of them are, but if anyone wants to be connected with any such organization, find my email on the website, email me, and then I'll find out whatever you want to know, because I want to know also. So I'll just conclude by saying that at the end of this tour, Sister Brown did something very sweet and very intimidating, which is that she offered me the opportunity to give us all a blessing, which is something that Christian clergy are more commonly asked to do, and rabbis often sort of turn into deer in the headlights, right, when we're asked to spontaneously come up with a blessing. And I said something, and I'm sure it was fine. But if I had had the presence of mind, here I think is the sort of thing I would have liked to have said at the end of that tour. As this Passover concludes, may we hold on to its central teaching that our freedom and well-being are inextricably linked to the freedom and well-being of others. And as we gratefully turn aside from matzah for another year, may we turn toward action. May the matzah inspire us to open our hearts and our hands to those in need, to stand in solidarity with the oppressed, and to use our freedom and resources to create a more just and compassionate world. May God continue to bless the work of Sister McCannon Brown and all those who, like her, labor in the service of Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. And may each one of us bring further blessing into the world through our own efforts. And may the day come swiftly and soon when all of humanity can achieve true liberation together. Ken Yehi Ratzon. We're going to turn now in our service to page 282, where we find the Aleinu, the prayer that reminds us that it is Aleinu, on us, to create the perfected world that we wish to see. So I would invite you to please rise as able and join in the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
It's been hard to close this lately.
It doesn't like the weather back and forth either.
Yeah, I don't think it does at all. Is that a happy position? That's a happy position. Very good. You may be seated. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, our own loved ones, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. On this Shabbat, we are remembering for Shiva for the first 7 days of mourning, Susan Bressler, Vivian Lewis, and David Rotman. And we remember for Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, Esther Cohen, Susan Garrison, Bailey Mendelson, Mark Pivar, and Rhoda Skalecki. We also observe the following yahrzeits on this Shabbat. We remember Mayer Babby, Sarah Baum, Charlotte Emold Bloom, Irving Blumenfeld, Yosef Cherniavsky, Melvin Cohen, Caitlin Crescenzo, Adeline Dominitz, Beth C. Felix, Jordan Fishman, Rachel Goodstein, Nina Gorens, Rose Granoff, Phyllis Grant, May Lois Grossman, Bertold Hessel, Doreen Kimmel, Sam Kimmel, Fred Klimpel, Esther Kramer, Hyman Liebman, John Lukács, Milton Margulies, Leonard Mendelblatt, Seki Ostach, Celia Parks, Abe Plotkin, Dorothy Podell, Dorothy Rapkin, Arthur Rosenberg, Harold Rubnitz, Herman Salick, Bernice Shuckett, David Sherman, John Shovers, Sidney Siegel, Edward Silberman, Abraham Stein, Sylvia Steingart, Linda Stilson, Lucille Weissman, Helen Werner, and David R. Wolf. And if there's anyone else whom you are remembering on the Shabbat whose name I did not say or whose name I should have pronounced differently, please feel free to share that name at this time. In honor of all those whom we have mentioned, all those whose names we hold in our hearts, and all those who have none to say Kaddish for them, I invite you to please rise as able and turn to page 294 in your prayer book for the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach lirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'alam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, bimru amen. May the one who creates peace in the heavens help us to bring peace to one another here on earth and to comfort one another when we are bereaved. Together we say, Amen. You may be seated. I just have a couple of things to announce this evening. One is, in this vein of memory and of thinking of the lives of those whom we have loved and lost, we will be observing Yizkor tomorrow morning. In addition to our regular Shabbat service, we'll have a Shabbat service with a Torah reading, and we'll have Hallel, and we'll have Yizkor, because all of those things are prescribed for this Saturday that also falls at the end of Pesach. All of that will begin at 10 a.m. Please join us if you can. We'll be in the main sanctuary. There will not be Torah study tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., so please don't come for Torah study, but please do come for that service if you can. And a week from tomorrow, we have a bar mitzvah. I believe it's Miles Chernoff's bar mitzvah a week from tomorrow, which is very exciting. He's going to do an extraordinary job. And then we have a run of B'nai Mitzvah for quite a while after that. So keep your eyes on all of the e-news for more announcements about those things. Also, a week from today, next Friday, is a family Shabbat.
Yes.
So if you are able to come join us for that, please do. And that service will begin at 6:30, right, as the family services do. So that will be, I'm sure, a really wonderful and joyous evening. We have all manner of other things coming up. Is there anything else you are aware of that you particularly
I know
would
that
like?
there's a dinner.
In 2 weeks, Yom HaSefer.
Oh, Siyum HaSefer. Yeah.
That's
So-
May 9th. Yeah.
Yes. So Siyum HaSefer is a ceremony in which we give third graders prayer books to celebrate them arriving at a moment where they can have those books and claim them as their own. So that will be part of the Friday night service in a couple of weeks, and that will also be a really lovely ceremony. So if you can come to that, please do. And then you mentioned there's a dinner before.
There's a dinner before next week.
Yes.
A community dinner, and also the evening of the 9th.
Yes.
Which is a really nice way to start Shabbat.
And all are welcome to those community dinners. It's not just for the kids in the grades that are participating in the service
Correct.
or anything like that.
The 9th is also honoring the teachers.
Ah, very good. So we'll honor all of our teachers on the 9th. So
And the Yamim is coming up.
And the Yamim are coming up. We have,
Are coming up,
yeah.
Sorry.
It's still fine.
Bad grammar.
Yeah. But yeah, the Yamim are coming up. Yom HaAtzmaut, Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaShoah, all of those things are coming up relatively soon. So do keep your eyes on the e-news and on the various things that are posted around the synagogue and the Facebook page and all of those things, and we will keep you posted about all of the happenings here at Shalom. So with that, we're going to move into concluding our service, first with Kiddush. So I'll raise this up, and I'll invite you all to rise one last time as able as we join together in Kiddush, which is on page 5 in your Siddur. Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron ma'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikraye kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, kohamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
We're going to conclude our service with a little celebration of Shabbat, a little bim bam together, I think.
Bim bam.
Yeah.
A little bim bam. I almost went to lay down my sword and shield.
Oh, well, that would be a good one as well. I'm open to anything.
Are you all open to anything?
Sure.
I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Gonna study war no more. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yiladu o milchama, lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yisa goy el goy cherev, lo yiladu o milchama, lo yisa goy el goy cherev.
May you have a peaceful Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.